Imagine this. You're a 67-year-old Baptist minister chopping wood on the fringes of the Ocala National Forest when suddenly you catch sight of a massive hair-covered beast standing menacingly among the palmetto bushes. The overwhelming stench of its presence makes you question your sanity, but there's no mistaking the sheer size and terrifying appearance of this mysterious creature. But let's go back to the beginning. In early October of 1977, a 22-year-old man was hitchhiking on US 441 around half a mile from the quaint town of Bellevue, Florida. The area was known for its light forest land, the perfect cover for mysterious creatures to lurk in the shadows. And unbeknownst to the young man, a terrifying experience awaited him, because as he walked along the road, a nauseating smell filled the air, a smell so strong it couldn't be ignored. And suddenly, a dark, hairy, upright figure briefly appeared before vanishing back into the woods. Now, the young man was left to wonder what in the world he had just witnessed deep within the Everglades of Florida. Now, just a couple of days later, another unsettling event occurred in Apopka. A security guard named Donnie Hall was working at a nursery when something large, powerful, covered in gray reddish fur, physically attacked him, tearing off his shirt. And in a frantic attempt to defend himself, Donnie fired his gun to no avail. The beast, whatever it was, seemed impervious to his efforts and disappeared as quickly as it had struck. Now, these events garnered some attention from the press, locals, and even the police, prompting the Florida Game and Freshwater Commission to look into the matter. They sent an investigator to examine a set of suspicious tracks found at the Apopka nursery. The tracks had an undeniable human likeness, but they seemed too large and oddly shaped to belong to a person. The authorities dismissed the tracks as man-made. They were unable to fathom that a mysterious creature could really be lurking in the depths of Florida, leaving behind these bizarre footprints. Now, 3 years later, in 1980, the small town of Altoona was buzzing with excitement over a strange creature found in the swamps. The local authorities found gigantic-sized 18 footprints in remote parts of the Ocala National Forest. The town was then divided, some believing it to be a hoax, while others, like Lake County Sergeant D. Kirby, believed that the tracks indicated a massive creature weighing around 1,000 pounds and standing between 10 to 12 feet in height. The footprints were far too intricate and realistic to have been made by a simple wooden fake. As the debate went on, reports of encounters with this mysterious creature continued to surface, and it seemed that this mysterious creature had taken residence in the swamps and forest of Florida. Now, at this point, its presence was undeniable, with countless individuals sharing their own terrifying stories of this bizarre creature. And as more and more encounters began to be reported, evidence began to accumulate, and curiosity grew about this strange, elusive creature. And it soon became apparent that the people of Florida were not dealing with just an average, unexplained cryptid. Finally, the identity of the mysterious creature had revealed itself. It was none other than the infamous skunk ape, a bipedal, hair-covered beast that earned its name due to the horrific odor it emitted. The skunk ape had been living in the swamps of Florida, Arkansas, and North Carolina, with Florida being the epicenter of most sightings. Now, this being was thought to be related to Bigfoot, yet distinctly different due to its smaller size and stature and the unique habitat it chose to inhabit. People often wondered if it was a smaller version of Bigfoot that had adapted to the unique landscape of Florida. Now, in a previous episode, my father actually shared with us an incredible story about his encounter with the Florida skunk ape. As if that wasn't enough to blow our minds, he then told us about how his younger brother had stumbled upon a skunk ape cavern deep in the southern Everglades. Now, even the Seminole and the Miccosukee tribes has said that the skunk ape has roamed the Everglades for hundreds of years, long before any European settlers ever arrived. They have passed down stories of a mysterious creature they call the Eskikapkaki, which roughly translates to furry tall man or hairy giant. The earliest known account of a skunk ape was actually recorded back in 1818 in southwestern Florida. Reports began to emerge of a man-sized monkey seen raiding food stores and following fishermen along the shoreline. Now, this strange creature inspired fear and curiosity among all who heard its tales. Now, the year was 1929, and the Florida Keys had just seen an incredible feat: the Perky Bat Tower, standing tall over the Keys, a beacon in the night. But something else was attracted to its construction as well, something that shook the tower and drove off the bats before returning into the wilderness. People who witnessed this mysterious beast described it as ape-like, leaving many to wonder what kind of being could have been so bold as to take such a magnificent structure and try to tear it down. But in the early 70s, two Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies were out on patrol in a nearby grove one night, and suddenly they heard something moving through the trees, and their flashlights caught the glint of a pair of eyes staring back at them. It was an ape-like creature. The deputies Marvin Lewis and Ernie Milner knew they had to act fast, so they pulled out their firearms and began firing into the darkness as this thing started running away from them. And as it disappeared, all that remained were some strange prints and snagged hair on a barbed wire fence that had been pushed down. Now, these events kicked off what proved to be a rash of skunk ape sightings in Broward County and its surrounding areas. You had multiple eyewitnesses reporting nocturnal encounters with an ape-like creature between 5 and 7 feet tall, dark red to black fur, and this strange beast even made it to the local newspaper, earning itself the nickname Skunk Ape all across the state of Florida. Now, another interesting case is Charles Stockman, and he had seen too many things in his time in the Vietnam War. He was a veteran after all, and a former police officer. But even with all that experience, nothing would have prepared him for the events that took place on July 14th, 1977, when him and his 13-year-old son Charlie went out to explore the mangroves behind their home, because little did they know what strange discoveries awaited them there. The two of them set off into the mangrove with one goal in mind: to find rare bottles amongst the lush green landscape. Now, as Stockman and his son traipsed through the mangroves, the salty sea breeze washing over them, something strange stirred in the shadows ahead. Stockman was certain that he'd startled it. An ominously dark patch of fur had appeared out of nowhere, and he could now smell its musky odor only several feet away, like a dog that hadn't been bathed in a year and had just been rained on. Now, he knew it couldn't be an ordinary animal because this thing was huge. Its head and shoulders were enormous. It was 8 or 9 feet tall, and it must have weighed easily 500 pounds, if not more. It's a big boy. And then there was this eerie wail to contend with, a sound unlike anything they'd ever heard before. It was the skunk ape. Stockman couldn't believe his eyes. He had heard about the legends about this mysterious creature, but never expected to see it with his own 2 eyes. Now, he and his son watched in stunned silence as the thing lumbered away back into the thick foliage. Now, for weeks, the Stockmen lived in fear as this mysterious skunk ape lured around their home. But it wasn't just the Stockmans who encountered this thing. An unidentified neighbor also claimed to have seen it lurking near the property's edge. When it was spotted crouched beneath the cover of their shed, Charles actually called the police for help, and a deputy, Bill Haas, from the sheriff's substation on Plantation Key, was a man accustomed to strange occurrences, but nothing could prepare him for what he found in Stockman's home. When he received the call, he was a little skeptical of the creature's sighting, but knew that it had to be investigated. Now, upon arriving at the scene and initially investigating, he reported no sign of any unusual activity. But Sergeant Rondell Chin of the sheriff's office and Captain Jack Gillen from the Marine Patrol also arrived and soon realized that something was definitely amiss in this small town. These people are truly scared to death, Chin observed. The officers agreed that if it was a joke, someone's liable to get hurt. Haas and the other officers went around the area, questioning witnesses, but nobody could provide any really useful information. The mystery of the creature sighting remains unsolved to this day, leaving Deputy Bill and his fellow officers scratching their heads in bewilderment. Now, it was shortly after these events that Leslie Stockman and her family on the coast of Key Largo underwent their own set of bizarre circumstances. Now, everything was fine until she was suddenly startled awake at 3 in the morning by the sound of limbs snapping and breaking, as if something big was walking through them outside her bedroom window. Now, peering through, she saw two bright, colorless eyes that seemed to be reflecting the light from the backyard. She could make out the other silhouette of an immense shoulder and head above the 8-foot bush, 30 feet away from her bedroom window. Whatever it was, she claimed it had evil intentions. Now, incredibly frightened by this, she quickly rounded up her 3 young children, fled to Homestead in search of safety, never to return to their Key Largo home again. She was that petrified. Meanwhile, Leslie's husband stayed behind, determined to take the creature down with his own shotgun. "It'll take a neck shot to bring him down," Stockman had said. "I've heard about black bears getting shot 3 to 4 times and still getting away, and this thing is bigger than any bear." But what was this mysterious creature? We can only speculate, because whatever it was, its threatening presence had driven Leslie's family out of their home in Key Largo that night. No one could have imagined such an eerie encounter in the quiet coastal town. Now, unfortunately for the Stockmans, they were never able to answer this question or catch sight of the beast again. Unknowingly, this small discovery would unravel a story that actually made headlines throughout the nearby town of St. Pete Times, the Reporter, and Palm Beach Post. The local community was shaken, and people began speculating about what lurked within the swamps surrounding their homes. Now, as the sun sets over Florida's dense swamps and murky forests, the air is thick with mystery and intrigue, and the chilling accounts of the skunk ape continues to baffle both locals and investigators alike. Are these eyewitness accounts just folklore, the product of possibly vivid imaginations, or is there truly some elusive creature hiding in plain sight? We now turn to you, our fellow explorers of the unknown. What do you believe lurks in the shadows of Florida's wilderness? Let me know your thoughts and theories, but remember, as you venture into the world of the unexplained, you might just find the truth is stranger than fiction. So please leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to go ahead and smack that big ol' red like and subscribe button for videos just like this. And as always, I love you all, keep an open mind, and I'll see you all in the next video.